The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, everybody. We're back. So I'm really happy that we had a little extended lunch period there, and I had to concoct myself an extra special superpower drink. Basically, what I do is it's a combination of emergencies. If you guys are familiar with emergency, it's super orange, it's called. I put some of that in there, and then I have this cold and flu shot that I get from a company. It's herbdoc.com. It's herbdoc.com. And they have a really powerful cold and flu shot where anytime I'm ever sick or thinking that I might be getting sick, it's actually robustly bolsters up the immune system in a way that you've never imagined before. So I have some of that, and then I have some orange juice in a cup because I'm starting to notice that my voice is going out a little bit. I feel like I have a little sore throat here. So I have to drink this as I'm doing my presentation for this afternoon. So I hope you guys don't mind, but I'm going to be sipping on a straw as I do this, okay? All right, so some quick housekeeping. So for those of you, I've already gotten some emails wondering if I could repeat the dates that our bootcamp seminar will be extended to. So all of you that are part of the original Detroit Bootcamp seminar that's supposed to go on this weekend. As you know, we had to change the event due to the coronavirus. And so we've actually already secured our dates with the same hotel. So it's, again, the same hotel in Detroit, Michigan that we were originally secured at. But the dates are now, hoping to get this up on the screen. Okay, so it's October 4th, 5th, and 6th, okay? And so it's the same venue that we had before. Now, if you're Platinum VIP, it's going to be an afternoon session that we're going to be doing because I'm dovetailing two events together, kind of like what I did in Vegas last year in September. So what we're going to be doing is on October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in the morning section of September or October 4th, we're actually going to be doing our Get Money for Deals Investor Direct Bootcamp seminar where I'm having some students actually meet my investors directly and pitch their deals. It's going to be kind of like a Shark Tank type of thing for real estate investors. And so we're actually going to be doing that in the same venue on October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in the morning on the 4th from about 8 or 9 in the morning through about noon is when we're going to be ending that first event. And so for those of you that are Platinum VIPs, you're going to be starting the afternoon session at 1:30 p.m. on October 4th. And we're going to be going late that day. We're going to be doing the workshop portion to start setting up your funnels and doing all the workshop aspects that we have to do for Platinum VIP. You're going to go to dinner with me on October 4th. Again, that's for Platinum VIP. And Gold VIP will actually start on the 5th and go through the 6th. So all of us are going to be on the 4th, 5th, and 6th for Platinum. And for Gold VIP is going to be 5th and 6th only, if that makes sense. So that's how that's going to be set up. And so for those of you that, if you're like me and you like to secure things in advance, not at the last minute, because last time we actually ran out of room blocks relatively quickly. So for those of you that are like me that you like to prepare way in advance, you can actually go and secure the hotel room so that you don't have to worry or scramble at the last minute. Because I had several of you scrambling at the last minute trying to get part of the room block, and the room block was already long gone by the time some of you tried to get a room. So this is your second chance, probably your last chance, because we're definitely going to be doing the event on October 4th, 5th, and 6th, unless the entire world ends or I croak or both. We're definitely going to be doing it for those dates. Okay, so that's a little housekeeping for you. One other thing I wanted to mention is that when you want to access the replay and the materials for this 3-day event that we're doing now together live streaming, you simply go to this link. It's monicamain.com/ICF 2020. I've already uploaded the morning session, and I'll work on the rest of the sessions as we conclude today and this afternoon. And then I'll also upload the PowerPoint presentation in a PDF format and any other materials that we have and acquire as we go through the group, okay? So that's what you need to know for now. And so I would jot all the stuff down so that you have it. And if you missed the hotel information, don't worry, because the hotel information is already on this website. It's monicamain.com/ICF 2020. And there's a link for the hotel because all of you are, that were registered originally for this are all automatically transferred to the October dates. You're already in the books on that. All right, so here we go. So let's continue on where we left off earlier. So the easiest and fastest online money making strategy, I'm going to go through that with you this afternoon. This is powerful, powerful stuff because I'm going to start with a little story. It's a true story, and this person still exists. She's actually right down the street from me, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what she does and how she's able to make millions with kind of a off the wall product. And I'll tell you a little backstory about how I discovered this. I wasn't supposed to discover this. And then I'll tell you exactly what happened just in recent months as far as how explosive her business has become, even still to this day. So I wanted to make sure you're paying attention. Hopefully you saw the little surfer girl there just to see if you guys are waking up here. So this is my neighbor's $1 million secret, and I'm going to share with you how I uncovered this, how she's been doing over the years with this, because some of you may remember when I initially talked to you about this, what I did a few years back, maybe I revealed to you my neighbor's $1 million secret and what she does and how I uncovered it and how basically that's one of the reasons why most of my neighbors still to this day do not talk to me is partly because of this, because I revealed this secret in a blog on my website that my neighbors decided to, they actually decided to go into my website when they decided that I was not to be someone who was included in the neighborhood inner circle, if you will, here in Stevenson Ranch, California. And so when they decided I was not going to be part of the inner circle because they didn't like me too much, um, and typically when people are threatened, they don't like someone that much. Then they decided to start digging into my website and all the other things that I do. And then they discovered that I did a blog post about this one neighbor, about her secret and how she makes so much money. And then they really didn't like me after that. So now nobody talks to me at all. So that's fine because I don't give a damn. But what's interesting enough is that I actually recently talked to her again. It was just a kind of a chit chat conversation because she just bought herself a brand new Cadillac Escalade, which is absolutely beautiful. And so I just made an off comment as I was walking my dog. I'm like, beautiful, you have a beautiful vehicle. I absolutely love it. She's like, thank you. And I'm like, but I'm kind of looking to downsize. And this was when I ended up buying my MKX. I got a Lincoln MKX. I call it the gangster ride because it's all blacked out and everything. But when I decided to go from my Lincoln Navigator to the MKX, and so we had a little conversation then. So she's not really mad at me, but everybody else in the neighborhood block still is mad at me about her and about me revealing the secret. So I'm going to share this with you because it actually was the secret on this block that actually ended up ostracizing me permanently and forever with all my neighbors here, which again, I really don't give a damn because I hate all those people anyway. But that's part of what happened is me revealing the secret. So what she does is she sells male enhancement patches, and they get them from China, and it's called the Energizer patch, which actually gets on Alibaba.com. And the reason I was able to discover this is because I went to a Christmas party years ago at their house, and I was looking for a drink for my daughter, and they had said, oh, just go into the garage and grab, I don't know if it was a Capri Sun or a juice box or something. So I went into the garage, and that's when I discovered what she was doing. Now, nobody else would probably know what it was that they saw because they wouldn't know what to look for. But I knew exactly what a mail order operation looked like because I have a mail order operation and I've always had different businesses over the years, starting off in my garage, starting off in a spare bedroom in my house, and a variety of different things like that. So I know what a mail order business looks like, okay? Because I've seen it all and I've had it all. So I immediately noticed that their entire garage was this operation. And when I looked on the shelves that were against the wall, I started to notice all of these boxes that said Energizer all over it. And I knew they weren't batteries because over the years I had noticed that as I drove by, I would see that it gets really hot up here in Stevenson Ranch. Like we'll have like 110-degree days in the summer. So during the summer, I would notice that they'd have the garage open, the garage door, and there would be a lady sitting at this card table, and she would be putting these it looked like these flat things into these bubble envelopes, right? And so I knew that they weren't batteries because the envelopes weren't thick enough to be batteries. So I decided after the Christmas party, after I left, the next day I decided to do some research to find out exactly what the Energizer was. And that's when I realized that it was a male enhancement patch. And so she sells that patch. She sells other patches. They have all kinds of patches, like they'll have weight loss patches and they have patches for energy and all kinds of different things. But what's cool about these patches is that they like weigh nothing, right? They weigh almost nothing, and they're cheap and easy to acquire, and they're cheap and easy to ship out. So that's what I discovered that she did. And what she was doing was selling them exclusively online through eBay and Amazon. She's now she's way beyond that now. She's actually got her own funnel. Um, she's got all kinds of stuff that she's doing. She's doing a little direct mail. But she didn't really like direct mail as much when I talked to her because she didn't really find that little niche. And I was trying to help her with that, but that was before everything went to hell in handbasket with everybody on this blog. But she does really well online, mostly with her online funnel and mostly by driving her own traffic. So this is kind of how she was able to find the product. It was through Alibaba.com. There's also the sister website to Alibaba, which is AliExpress.com. And this is where you can actually get all kinds of stuff. It's not just from China, because I know everybody's paranoid about China now, which that's gonna come and go. I mean, let's be real here. The whole thing that's happening right now is a temporary thing, right? And so what we're afraid of today is not necessarily going to be something that we're going to still be afraid of, I hope, in 90 days or 6 months from now. So this is still really a viable option to get certain things from there. Now, I'm not really a big consumable fanatic when it comes to China. And the reason being is because if I'm going to be putting something in my mouth, or in this case, something on my skin that's ultimately going to go into my bloodstream, I'm not really interested in using a product from China. There's too much liability. I've seen people go to jail over it if people were dying or having health issues because of using the product that ultimately came from China. So I'm very cautious. But on Alibaba.com, you don't just find companies in China. There are other companies that you could find, even ones that manufacture things in the United States. So it's not just China. There's another company called madeinchina.com. So it's made-in China, well, made-in-china.com. That's the other one. That's the competing website to Alibaba.com. So those are your two main sites. And like I said, you can go to AliExpress.com. And the difference between Alibaba.com and AliExpress.com is Alibaba, you basically contact the supplier with the intent on getting a really big deal on a large pallet of product. So you're prepared to buy. In this case, you could see on this site here, you're prepared to buy a minimum order of 100 pieces and likely 1,000 or 3,000 pieces. Well, a lot of times when you're first starting off in this business, you're not going to want to buy that much. In fact, it would be not wise or not smart on your part to just run out and buy, a whole pallet of product when you have no idea whether anybody's going to want it or not. So you can go to AliExpress.com, and AliExpress will actually sell it in a lot smaller sizes. I mean, it'll sell products by the single piece, and this is really great if you want to try a product out, test it out, see what it's like, see if you like the supplier of the product. And then once everything's a go, then you can go back to that company, and likely they're also a company that's on Alibaba as well that could service you in a larger capacity, and they could also ship pallets of the product or cases of the product to you for a much better price. And so that's where I recommend everybody start, is AliExpress.com, and then later on you can go to Alibaba.com. But again, it's not limited to just companies in China. There's companies all over the world, including in the United States, that you could very well find on Alibaba. So those are the two websites, Alibaba.com and AliExpress.com. Those are going to be your two wholesale types of websites to find product. And so I've always liked the health supplement consumable space just because of how easy it is to acquire these products and how cheap it is to ship the products. I've always liked that, but you're not limited to just that. I mean, especially if you're going to eventually start some kind of small internet-based business like on eBay to start off at that platform, you could very well go in there and find laptops or motherboards or computer memory or flash drives or something else. It doesn't have to be just the consumable space. It doesn't have to be just a health supplement space. It could be any of those things that you can make a lot of money with, that you can easily get from Alibaba or through AliExpress.com, and you could resell here in the US through eBay or Amazon. So there's a huge market for this. I mean, it's just absolutely huge. It's just, right now, like I said, there's a big dent as far as the actual business itself. And again, also too, if you do plan on selling any kind of consumable or topical, I strongly suggest maybe staying away from China and other outside of the country types of companies. But I mean, I'm a little bit more lenient when it comes to topical. Like, for example, if there's a face cream or some kind of anti-aging product that's topical that I could potentially get in, say, India or Egypt or Italy or someplace like that, I would be very prone to get something outside of the country because there's a very nice, unique selling proposition when you have something that's unique like that. Like, for example, I mean, at some point in time, I was selling a lot of this one particular French, it was like a skin cream. It was an anti-aging skin cream and I got it from France. What I couldn't really tell people was, and I had to I kind of had to skewer the exact USP because it wouldn't have floated really well with Americans here in the US. But what was the base of the product was actually the slime that comes out of snails. So if you've ever seen a snail walking across I don't want to say walking, I guess they slither or whatever they do. So if you've ever seen a snail slither across the sidewalk, you see that they leave that slimy substance. Well, the French swear by that and actually claim that there's huge anti-aging, benefits to that slime. Well, obviously, I couldn't put that in a sales piece, so I had to skewer it a different way in my sales piece to be able to really sell the product. And I did it in a way where I would show a lot of these young faces that were older women coming out of France, and I said that there is a beauty secret of the French women, and here it is, and I would lay it out. And so but I would get this anti-aging product from France. I mean, I remember the guy that I used to deal with. His name was Philippe, I think his name was, and I remember when he would call my office and you could barely understand him. He was the nicest guy ever. And I remember when Leia used to pick up the phone and talk to this guy Philippe, and and it was funny because she'd be like, "Oh, Philippe's on the phone," but I could barely understand him. I'm like, "Okay, I'll take the call." And I'm not entirely sure why the people that are out of this country like to pick up the phone and call, especially if they don't speak English very well and if they're not proficient in our language. But it's like these people are more older school individuals where they like to actually do, they want to talk to you on the phone. They want to see how you are. They want to see if you have integrity and you really are serious about selling these products, but they're super nice on top of that. And I never liked that aspect of it because I like to just send me an email back. Let's do the deal. Let's go with this. But it's like they really like to get on the phone with you. And again, many of them are not very they're not very proficient in the language. And then they like to call you on all these weird hours because China, I mean, it'll be, the middle of the night for us and they're already starting their business day the next day. So like I remember when dealing with my Chinese suppliers, this one supplier always wanted to deal with me between 10 and 11 my time, Pacific time. And they're just starting their business day the next day. And so I'd have to stay up late. And I remember just being all crabby and, not wanting to be up. And I'm like, thank God I'm not on the East Coast because otherwise it'd be in the middle of the night trying to deal with these people. So same with Europe. I mean, they're way ahead of us. And so it's just that's the kind of stuff you have to deal with when you start dealing internationally. Now, like I said, a lot of people are thinking, I don't really want to deal with international stuff. Well, please note that, again, this thing with the virus that's going on and everybody getting sick, this is just temporary, folks, okay? It's just temporary. It's not going to last forever. Eventually, it will blow over. And we'll get on to normal. In fact, if anything, now is a really good time to maybe start communicating with some of these people overseas because they're hurting for business big time. And they're going to be willing to cut you some really awesome deals on some of these things in a way that they've never done before because they're going to be so desperate to get their businesses up and running and back on track that there's no end to the amount of deals that you'll be able to get. So now is the time for you to start doing some research on these two key websites on different things that you have an interest in that you might want to, import into the country because import export is a huge business. And if you're proficient with this and if you actually know a second language like Spanish or French or Italian or Chinese, I mean, you could really kill it in this. I mean, I've had students that know Korean and know all these different languages and they're not utilizing these skills. You can utilize the skills. Now, if you don't have the skills, don't worry about it. There's translating devices now. I had, when I went to Italy last year, I told you guys about that earlier. I ended up with 2 speeding tickets, and the Europeans are so highly efficient that you never get pulled over. You just get the speeding ticket in the mail in the United States, usually several months after your trip is over, and you're like, what the hell is this? And then of course they do their dates backwards. So you're like, I was never in Italy or Europe during this time. And really the month goes first, or actually the date goes first and then the month goes second. And you're like, okay, I guess I was in Italy during that time. But ended up getting 2 speeding tickets from Italy sent to me. And I was dealing with these people, and I ended up just using all the Google translating software to basically type out my letters to the Italian. I would copy and paste what Google's translation was, and then I would just email it to the authorities in Pisa over there, where I ended up getting my ticket. But I mean, that stuff wasn't available 10 years ago. That stuff wasn't even available 5 years ago. Yet you can now become an international import exporter with the technology that's available today. So you might as well capitalize on it, take full advantage of that, because I'm telling you, the opportunities that we have now, you've never had before. And I also will tell you one more time, now is the time for you to start connecting with these international suppliers, because they're going to be willing to cut you deals like you would not believe, especially post coronavirus, because they're going to be biting at the bit to try to get back on track with everything as quickly as possible. And they have a lot of stuff that's sitting in inventory that cannot be shipped because the United States is not accepting shipments right now from China and other places. So I'm telling you, now is the time to start establishing these relationships with these people, because they'll be very hospitable. Sometimes they're very difficult to understand and they're very difficult to communicate with, but it's well worth your time, because they will give you deals like you'll never get in the United States. But remember, if you're going to be doing a consumable, meaning that they're putting it in their mouth or it's absorbing through their skin, like with the patch, I don't really know that I would do the China route with that. You might want to consider other countries, because China is kind of known for junky products when it comes to the nutritional lines. They have, however, had really awesome anti-aging stuff, and it's very easy for me to sell anti-aging stuff from Asia in particular, because everybody looks so young. Like, how many Asians have you ever seen in your life that look old at all? Like, none. They all look like they're between 12 and 20, right? So it's very easy for me to sell any kind of anti-aging with a topical product from Asia, because I mean, everybody knows Asians stay young forever, and they all think that the Asians have a secret. And they probably do, but it's probably genetics and, probably their diet. It probably has nothing to do with what they put on their face, but it's just very easy because it's a well-known fact that most Asians look very, very young. So that's something you could consider for an anti-aging, but again, that's topical. That's not a supplement that they're popping into their throat. So when they're popping it into their throat, try to make sure that it's made in America. That's really the key there. Another one is madeinchina.com. Remember, there's dashes in the domain, so it's made-in-china.com, but that's the competing website to Alibaba.com. Okay, so this is confidential and proprietary information. I got into a lot of hot water by sharing this information already with my neighbors and everybody on this block. And I almost had her, by the way, at one point in time to talk about her successes. However, because I decided to reveal it to my students because I was so excited about it, all that kind of went to hell in a handbasket, all right? So I have to tell you, this is proprietary. This is not information you're going to share with anybody else, just because this is something that you could use to make a lot of money. This is something that you can use to kind of be a game changer for your own personal life and your own personal finances. So this is not something you're going to be writing a book about. This is not something that you're going to be blogging about. This is not something that you're going to be spewing about on radio or a podcast or whatever. This is something that's going to be just for you. All right. So what she does is she sells male enhancement, but also other supplements online, and she mainly does it through eBay. She makes a ton of money on eBay. She sells some of her stuff on Amazon, but mostly on eBay. And a lot of people think, oh, well, eBay's long dead, long gone, one of those old school internet marketing things that doesn't work anymore. Think again, because eBay has really turned a corner. They basically went from being at the top of the world to Meg Whitman. I remember when she stepped down from CEO position, and then everything kind of went to hell in a handbasket with their policies, and then ripping off sellers on fees and all this other stuff. And then now they have a comeuppance, I guess, if you will, where they're coming back up online, and they have been for a couple of years now, silently and almost deadly in a way, in a good way for you on your part as a marketer. But they have really turned the corner because they were on the verge of being, probably going belly up and bankrupt at some point. So they're far from that at this point. So they're almost where they were before Meg Whitman stepped down, and they're probably going to get there in the next year or so. So this is a very viable, kind of a secret way that a lot of people still make a ton of money on eBay, even going through and weathering all the storms with eBay. But now, more than ever, since Amazon has really gotten tight and difficult to sell for most sellers, they've become Facebook strict, if you will, on who they allow to sell anything. And so Amazon's becoming more and more difficult to sell products on. So it should never be your main way of selling anything online. And if it's going to be another template or another platform that you're going to use, then I strongly, strongly recommend that eBay is it for you. And so most recently, this is the most recent part of this whole thing, is that I remember seeing her down the road with a couple moving trucks. She was packing up everything in her garage because she was going off into a warehouse location that she has. And so I kind of miss driving by and seeing the single mom in the garage packing up all the Uline bubble envelopes, and watching the single mom take out, because they would take out so many mail bins of orders. It was insane. I'm like, how are these people making so much money off of this? Because the bins that they would have to go to the post office every single day was probably between 4 and 6 full mail liners or mail tubs. And so that's a lot of orders. When they're those small, it was like a 0 or number 1 bubble envelope that you get from Uline, and you stack them all into a mail liner or mail tub that you get from the U.S. Postal Service, and you're doing like 4 and 6 of those per day. That's a lot of orders going out. And she was doing this every single day. And she barely ever lifted a finger because she was paying the single mom under the table to do all of this work for her. And I just kind of I kind of miss overseeing her operation and kind of looking to see how she grew from like basically nothing to getting out of control orders, to then the moving trucks moving up to the garage and pulling everything out, and then moving into now a warehouse location. So it was kind of nice seeing that whole thing blossom. And I kind of I miss those days when I can actually I could spy on her operation, if you will, because I enjoy that kind of thing. So when I talked to her, she said she did try direct mail postcards. They didn't work so well, and this is why I actually talked a little bit to her about my 4-page direct mail mailers that I was doing for a sexual male enhancement product that I did for Bree Labs years ago, and we were making millions on that product. And I just decided one day that I didn't want to do that anymore. I wasn't really a fan of the product. I really didn't believe in the product anymore. And I just didn't want to do it anymore. And so I decided to pull the plug on that business, and I sold pieces of it off to different students of mine who decided that they wanted to do the business. But I didn't want to do the business anymore. This is why it's critical at this stage in the game that you decide to do something that you really want to do. You need to be passionate about it. You can't just do things for money. There's so many students that come to me. They're like, just pick any business for me, Monica. I don't care what it is, because I'm just in it for the money. And that is not a good place to be, because if you are in that place and you're having me choose a business for you, and then it turns out you're just not into it, you're not going to do well with it at all, because you're not going to be chomping at the bit to package up the orders and, rushing off to the post office to make sure all of the stuff is mailed out, and not wanting to put time and effort into finding your second or third product to be able to upsell to your current customer database. You're not going to be interested in any of that stuff. You're not going to be interested in, fleshing out your funnels or creating different funnels, or you're not going to be interested. That's it. If you're not interested in the product line. So don't just do something for money. And I've learned this time and time and time and time and time and time again, that you just got to do something you're passionate about. And I'll give you the most recent, I should say, example. And that is because, I'll tell you guys these things, but then sometimes I don't even listen to my own advice that I tell you, right? So Dr. Peter Barrington, about a year and a half ago, came to me and he's like, he wanted me to sell the slice system, which, by the way, wasn't called the slice. It wasn't called anything. He didn't really even have a name for this method that I used for trading. I'm like, we have to call it something. So once he described to me how the method of trading worked, I decided to call it the slice. So I'm the one who actually named the slice, right? And so we'd been talking on and off since I met him, which was, gosh, I can't even tell you how long I've known him. I've known him for a long time. And I actually initially met him at my Atlanta Bootcamp seminar. This is maybe circa 2000, gosh, I don't even know, maybe 2011. And so we met. It was around the same time I met Andrew Shaw. In fact, a couple times these guys bumped into each other, and it's really awesome because Andrew has started trading and he's doing really well with trading as well. But it was an amazing, amazing system. And the only reason Dr. Barrington started coming to my events in the beginning, back we're talking circa 2011, is because he knew that he had to start parking his massive wealth, which was out of trading mostly the stock indices, the ETFs for the stock indices. He knew he had to park some of that money into apartment buildings. And so I started doing, in fact, one of my bigger apartment building cash flow events was back in Atlanta in 2011. And he was at that event, and that's when he learned about putting his money that he made into apartment buildings and other commercial assets. And so it was over the years we've been talking, and me dabbling in trading and doing really well, but never wanting to make trading my big main thing because I like doing business and this is what I love doing, marketing and headlines and money funnels and all that stuff. I really enjoy this kind of stuff. So I never really did the trading thing full time. I've always done it on the side part time. And so I've always respected his system because it's different and better than any other trading system out there. And I've studied quite a few trading systems over the years. And so I've kind of hinted, over the years, hey, you should let me sell your system. I can make a fortune with it. And, he would laugh about it. But it was a year and a half ago when he realized that it was probably never going to survive this cancer he has. So he was diagnosed with throat cancer. And when he realized he wasn't going to pull out of it, he came to a realization that he was going to be the only one that was going to die with the secrets of Jesse Livermore, who was one of the most prolific traders back in the 20s. In fact, he was one of the only people that forecasted accurately to the day, to the hour, when the stock market was going to crash back in October of 1929. And so Jesse Livermore actually hung out with Dr. Barrington's grandfather, and they were really close friends. And it was Jesse who told his grandfather, Bobby B, they called him, about the slice and how it worked, which again didn't have a name until I came into the picture and named it. And so Dr. Barrington is like, I'm the only one that knows this. Like, I'm the only one that knows this trading secret. And I think he just maybe woke up in the middle of the night one day and one morning and realized, oh my God, I'm going to die and nobody else is going to know this. So then he calls me and he's like, I want you to market the system for me. And he just gave me a very compelling argument about how he had to sell this, how other people had to know about how powerful the secret is before he passes and before he exits this earth. And so I'm like, okay. And I got sucked into the whole story and I'm like, yes, everybody needs to know this. Yes, yes, yes. And then fast forward to, let's see, last fall, maybe late summer, last fall. And the burden of dealing with the slice system, plus my real estate investing, plus my money funnel stuff, plus all the other stuff that I'm doing, I just started to feel the weight of it on my shoulders. And I'm just like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And I came to that realization where it's like, I really didn't want to do this in the beginning, but I really wanted to serve him in the aspect of being able to get the word out about the slice system. And I did that. And I'm like, well, maybe it's time to pull the plug on the slice. Well, then he ups the ante for me one more time. And I think he might be on the verge of dying. I'm not entirely sure because about a month ago, we had a conversation on the phone and he started talking about redemption, the road to redemption, and all this other stuff. And it's kind of like one ear and out the other, kind of like what a dead man would be saying on his deathbed kind of stuff. And then he decided that he wanted me to have full rights to the slice because we only shared rights half and half up to this point. He's like, I want you to have the rights to the slice. And immediately within that day, he already had a signed, like he already prepared it in advance. He had a signed contract stating that he was reverting all the rights over to me, and that I would be getting sole and exclusive rights to the slice. So I decided, well, I'm back on this whole track with him where it's like, well, I got to get the word about this out about this because this is an amazing trading system. I mean, there's nothing out there like it in the entire world. But then it's starting to weigh down on me again. Here we are a month later, I've been doing all the mailings for the slice and dealing with customer service and funnels and all that other good stuff. And I'm just realizing at the end of the day, this is really not where I want my attention to be. Yes, I love the slice. I believe in the slice. I believe it's the greatest trading system in the entire world. But my strong suit has always been in real estate investing and in marketing. That's it. Those are where my true passion points will always lie. And even though I do trade on the side, bits here and there, whatever I can emotionally handle, because, as you know, the markets have been a roller coaster lately, but it's never going to be my main thing. Trading will never be my main thing. It'll be a nice side gig to be able to make extra money, but it's never going to be my main thing. And so back to that again, back to doing something I'm not passionate about. So again, I'm going to feed this advice to you, hoping that you listen to me, because I don't even listen to myself sometimes because I get so excited. And that's the mind of an entrepreneur for you, is that we get so excited about these different projects that we're pulled in a thousand different directions. And then unfortunately, we end up, falling victim to picking a product that we're not really that jazzed about to begin with. All right. So remember, you want to pick a product that you at least feel kind of bubbly, giggly, butterflies in your stomach, excited about. Because if you're not, then you need to choose something else. There's way too many products out there that you could potentially sell that you don't have to settle for something that you're mediocre, lukewarm about, because there's just way too much that you could sell that's just really awesome and something that's right up your alley. So what she does is she sells exclusively online. Again, she did try the mailers, didn't really work out that well, even though I did tell her about the 4-page mailer. She's done postcards, etc., on and off. But it's mostly she does the eBay, Amazon, and lately just almost solely exclusively eBay, and now a money funnel that she actually has. She sells her patches, creams, oils, adult novelties. All of her postage is really super cheap. She ships with, the last time I talked to her, she said she shipped with PayPal. I actually ship with stamps.com because stamps.com actually gives me a better break, but then also PayPal does too. They give you like the commercial rate. So I guess that's okay because it feeds directly into her system so that she doesn't have to do double work. As I mentioned, she had a single mom who was getting paid under the table to work about 4 hours a day printing and shipping labels. And then she was pocketing at that time under $200,000 a year in profits. I'm sure it's well above and beyond that, but I haven't talked to her about the specifics of her finances because nobody talks to me anymore, as I just described to you. But between you and I believe she made a mistake by moving all of her stuff into a warehouse, because now you're on the radar. And I was just bitching about this stupid tax form that I got from LA County the other day, and I'm supposed to file it soon. And what LA County does, because this is what a scam the state of California is as a whole, is so you go out and you buy office furniture, right? You go out and you buy office machinery like printers and computers and all this. Well, so you pay taxes on it when you buy it, right? You go to Best Buy and you buy a computer, you pay taxes when you check out with the computer. Well, what the state of California does, namely LA County, and I'm sure all the other counties that go along with it, what they do is they send you a tax bill every single year for all the stuff you already own. So you have to pay taxes on it year after year after year after year after year after year after year. Every single freaking year, you're paying taxes on the same thing you already paid taxes on when you bought the freaking thing to begin with. So I have this tax thing, and I'm like looking at it going, oh my God, I just bought like the $16,000 machine that does all my postcards for me. It prints out all of the addresses on the postcards. And now I got to claim this because, and who knows how much tax they want to charge me on this machine that, again, I already paid taxes on when I bought it from Neopost last year. So this is the type of stuff, though, that you end up on the radar for when the very second you open up your doors and basically call Southern California Edison and turn on your lights, the very first thing that happens is now LA County is coming right around the corner with their tax bill on all the stuff that, did I mention already? You already paid taxes on when you bought it, right? That you already paid taxes on that desk. You already paid taxes on that office chair. You already paid taxes on all that equipment and that computer and that printer. But yet LA County wants to keep charging me taxes over and over and over and over and over and over and over again on the same crap that I already bought. And so what they want is the devalued the devalued, I guess, worth or cost, I guess, if you will. So for me, it's like, well, all this office furniture that you see, I bought it at a garage sale for $10. And that computer over there is 11 years old. And if I were to sell it right now online, it would probably be 25 bucks. And that's the kind of stuff that you have to do as a business owner now that you're on the grid. Not to mention having a payroll and having to deal with payroll fees and workers' compensation and EDD and all this stupid stuff that you have to be accountable for now that you have a real office and now that you're on the grid. So if you're going to be doing this business, I strongly recommend that you try to find a extra spare room in your house or a corner or a place in your garage where you can store some of this stuff, because it won't be a lot of stuff to store. In worst case, if you happen to have a backyard, go get yourself a shed. There's some awesome sheds that you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's that are like a couple $100s. You snap them together in a weekend and you have a shed that could be for your stuff. But don't go get an office or a warehouse. Please don't ever do that. In fact, Jesse, my video guy, who all of you have met at any of my events that you've ever attended, he's an amazing guy. He followed suit with all the stuff that I talked about in my internet cash flow stuff in the early days. And he now has about a $50,000 a month business, give or take. And we were having a conversation. We were in Hawaii together, and he's like, I've been wanting to hire an employee, but I keep hearing you in the back of my mind telling me never to hire an employee ever, ever, ever. And I started laughing because I'm like, well, what do you tell him now? His business has gotten so big that where he could probably benefit from a part-time employee or two. But, I can't go back on what I said because it's really 100% true. And it's 100% of what I believe in, which is the very second you get an employee now, you're definitely on the grid. You're square, front row and center on the grid now. And the state of California requires you to pay EDD taxes as an employer here. And so what happens is about 3% of every paycheck. So whenever I pay an employee $100, 3%, I got to pay out of my pocket, which goes into this EDD California State Fund, so that if I lay anybody off, that money comes out of that pot. Well, what happens if I never lay anybody off? Well, guess what? The state of California gets to keep it forever. And I remember having a pot. I couldn't, it made me sick when I got the statement. I mean, I literally got physically ill when they gave me one of my statements for one of my companies that I had a couple of years ago, where they told me I had over $300,000 in this EDD pot that I was never, ever, 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 ever going to be able to touch ever. And it was basically free money that the state of California got just because I had to pay the EDD taxes of 3% over the years. So yeah, it made me physically ill. And this is the type of stuff you got to deal with when you're on the grid, when you have a warehouse. The very second you turn on your lights and you turn on your water and you turn on all this other stuff and your phones, all of a sudden now you got all of the vultures that are circling in the sky, ready to just start picking you clean apart, especially if you're in a business non-user friendly state like California. You have to deal with those types of implications. So I'm sure she's feeling that right now, but that's her problem, okay? It's not mine. So the cracks in her business is that she's selling stuff from China. She's probably having a hell of a time getting stuff now, but that's a major legal liability, because what happens is that if anybody ever gets sick from your product, then unfortunately they are going to sue you. That's it. They can't sue the manufacturer because the manufacturer is outside the United States. Now, it would be different if the manufacturer was inside the United States, but if they're outside the United States, then definitely that's something you got to worry about. You got to worry about being sued. So I recommend that you get patches here in the United States. Now, I used to use patchmanufacturer.com. I'm not sure if they're around anymore, or if that's their accurate website, but later on in this presentation, I have their actual website that you can go to. That used to be one of their side websites. She could also have added a 4-page direct mail. She could have doubled her income overnight if she would have added a 4-page direct mailer to sell a product for, like, say, $197, somewhere in there. And then, when you're on the grid, like I said, now that she's on the grid with her warehouse, now, if she's continuing to pay employees under the table, that's going to be an issue. I mean, that the state of California is going to crack down on her hard. Now, if she was still in her garage paying people under the table, it's very difficult to prosecute somebody for that, because you could just say anything. You could just say, well, she was helping me out fix my computer. She's a neighbor, and I was just giving her some money to help fix my computer, whatever. And it's just very difficult to prosecute somebody for that. But when you actually have an above board warehouse business and you're still paying people under the table, that's still kind of like a risk for her. She didn't have any basic business liability insurance. I can guarantee you she didn't. And that would have costed her a fortune, probably around $750 to $1,000 a month or more. And again, if you're flying below the radar, you can get away with some of this stuff, but if you're not, then you still have a substantial risk. Now, again, everybody should have business liability insurance, but in the beginning you might not be able to afford it. So as long as you are selling products that are made in the United States and it's the manufacturer's liability, if anything happens or if anybody gets sick, they have to bear the burden and responsibility of that. You do not. But if anything's manufactured outside of the United States, well, obviously you have to bear the responsibility. And she could have actually had additional drop ship products. There's a company called sextoydistributing.com. You do have to have a seller's permit to be able to open up an account with these people, but they will drop ship stuff for you. They're actually in Southern California, so it was very quick and easy for us to get product because we're also in Southern California. I think they're based in like Anaheim or Tustin or someplace like that, but they're in Orange County, and they could drop ship products if you don't want to, deal with any of the products yourself. But it does, again, require a business license or a seller's permit and corporate documentation. They're very strict with that. But if this is a business that you want to be in, it's certainly a very profitable business. So it's definitely something that you can consider. So this was one of the other products that she had carried. Again, very, very easy to get all of these different things. Very, very simple. Especially if you're getting things that are outside of the country, which again, I would really recommend maybe not doing that. But it's something you could definitely consider. So it's just definitely an avenue to consider. So going back to eBay, if you ever want to figure out or do any kind of research on how people are making as much money as they are, first of all, the first thing you could look at is their feedback. Like, for example, you take a look at the feedback of this company here, Public Direct. You see that they have a lot of feedback, right? So it means that they're selling a lot of stuff. So those are the types of people that you want to research when you go into ebay.com to see who's a player in this space. Who's a player? What are they selling? Let's check out their store. Let's check out what they are selling, how many units they're selling. So whenever you go into any of these units of product that they're selling, you can actually find out what they've sold. You could actually take a look. So once you click on the actual listing, you can go into the listing itself. So you can see from here, they have 222 sold, which is kind of a lot. Now you don't know what time frame that is, but if you actually clicked on that 222, it would tell you what the time frame is and when they sold it by date. There's actually a list. It's almost like an Excel spreadsheet that shows up and actually shows you what they sold and when they sold it, and how many units. Like some people might have bought 2 units, some people might have bought 1, and they would tell you exactly what they paid for it, because some people probably paid less because they may have done an offer on it. Some people would have done a buy it now. So it tells you all those things. And then that little door there is their store to the right where the black arrow is. You could actually go in there and check out what's in their store to see what the other products are. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. You definitely want to emulate somebody else's success, and the easiest way to do that is to go into these stores and into these different sellers' accounts. It's all available for you to see online at all times. And that's the cool thing about this whole thing, is that nobody can keep anything a secret if they're selling anything online. Like, nobody can. And all of the stuff that this particular seller has, all cheap to ship, all can ship in a very cheap and easy to get Uline bubble envelope. So all of this stuff is stuff that you could sell without spending a fortune shipping. I always hesitate on bigger products, like if you want to sell computer towers, for example, or different things like that. It's very difficult to ship, because then you're spending money with UPS, and your shipment's going to be $50 or $100. That's very difficult to try to sell that stuff. But smaller stuff and lighter stuff, it's a lot easier to sell because it's lighter to ship. So you have to understand that this particular business is all about high volume. You have to get the high volume. You're not going to have huge margins. You're not going to have information product type of margins where you could potentially make hundreds or thousands on a sale, but you're definitely going to have to do a lot of shipments to be able to get the high volume needed to get to your financial freedom point. So you'll offer, in this case, you'll offer a product which will be in the health supplement or consumable category. It's not going to be an information publishing product. You're going to have to order this product in bulk to be able to make a lot of money doing this. And you want to start off with, at least in the very least, I know I say a minimum of 10 products, but in order to start, you only need basically one product, right? You don't need like 10 products to start, but you want to get up to 5 and then up to 10 products as quickly as you possibly can. So here's what I don't want to see you guys do, okay? I don't want to see you guys go into any of the sources that I'm going to give to you in a second. I don't want to see any of you go to these sources and start buying up 5 or 10 different items to sell before you sell anything. You could start with 1 and then 2 and then 3. I don't want you to stockpile your entire garage before you sell one thing. So you start off with 1 and then 2 and then 3, but the idea here is to ramp up to as quickly as you possibly can, first to 5 products and then ultimately to 10 products. Also, too, again, we're not in the business of reinventing the wheel this time or any other time. So you want to copy and paste your power seller strategies, including their listings, their types of products, etc., maybe even getting close to their price points. But that's the idea behind this whole thing. All right. So I'm going to share with you my student and what he does to be able to make $90,000 a month in this business. So I'm going to get some excitement going here. So I want to see you guys tell me, yes, you're ready for this information. So go ahead and type in the little box, yes, you are absolutely ready to learn how this student does $90,000 a month in eBay. Still to this day, give me some yeses. Tell me that you're still out there. Tell me you're still listening, that you're paying attention. All right. Now remember, eBay used to be an awesome platform, and then all of a sudden it became a suck fest, and now it's an awesome platform again, except it's almost like a hidden secret, even though everybody knows what eBay is, right? And so a lot of internet marketers have long forgotten eBay when they got ditched out of the whole eBay program years ago when things stopped working after Meg Whitman stepped down. And so now it's now a hidden secret, even though we all know what eBay is, right? So I don't want you to scoff at the information I'm about to give to you, because this information can absolutely change the entire trajectory of your life. All right. So this student, his name is Greg, and he's been a student of mine since the earlier internet cash flow years. We're talking like circa 2000, I don't know, 14, 15, somewhere in there. And he's gone through the whole gamut with eBay. There's nobody that knows more about eBay that I personally know than Greg. He's an amazing guy. And so I had a recent conversation getting in preparation for this presentation, and he's been doing better than ever with this platform now. And I think he was really hesitant because he didn't want people to know every secret, but yet he has a sense of, I don't want to say it's a sense of owing me anything, because he doesn't owe me anything. None of my students who learn stuff from me, by the way, owe me anything, okay? You owe yourself a big pat on the back if you get to the point of 90,000 a month, or like Bev 85,000 a month, or like Jesse 50,000 a month. If you get to that point, you pat yourself on the back, because a lot of students will start on this journey and then they just don't follow through. And so he allows me to share this with you. He's allowed me to share this with you. But again, this is one of these things. I want you all to be very clear about something. This is one of these things where it's confidential. This is not something you're going to write a book about. This is not something you're going to blog about. This is not something that you're going to podcast about or share in any form or fashion with anybody else. This is only for you, because some of the stuff I'm going to share with you, how do I put it delicately here? Some of the stuff I'm going to share with you is not, I don't want to say above board. It's just secret information that I don't know how to describe it, because it's not illegal. It's a little in the gray area. Let's just put it that way. Even though it's legal and he does really well with it, but there's a couple of things that maybe you'll disagree with, okay? Do you guys still want to hear what it is, though? Again, it's all legal. I'm not going to share with you anything that's illegal, but you might disagree with some of the elements of this. Are you still wanting to hear what I have to say? I want some yeses there, because if I get any no's, then I'm not doing this presentation. All right, that's what I thought. Okay, so here we go. So this is what he does. This is one of the products he has. I'm not going to share with you exact because I don't want any of you contacting him, because that was one of the things that he said. He's like, I don't want 15 to 20 students calling me or going through my site and trying to contact me. I'm not mentoring anybody. I don't want to deal with any of that. So fine. So you guys have to promise you're not contacting him at all. All right. So if you happen to see his seller ID, you're not going to contact him. And I want you guys to understand that. But he was a really good guy, and he's really just, I just love him. He's just really an awesome guy, very soft spoken, very mild mannered. You'd never ever guess that this guy makes as much money as he does, because he's like the millionaire next door. He just doesn't flaunt any of his money. I think the biggest purchase he's ever made was like a really nice Omega watch for himself. He's not really a big spender. He just really loves this business, and he loves shipping stuff. He actually still ships his own stuff. He's got some helpers now, but he ships his own stuff. He just loves this business, right? So that's what it takes to be successful in this business, is that you have to love some of the elements of it. And so one of the products, he sells a lot of weight loss products. He sells a lot of male enhancement products. He sells a lot of different things. He's got several different eBay accounts just to try to keep things separated. But I want to show you how this works, right? So you go to eBay, and you could type in diet pills, weight loss pills, something like that, and you'll actually start to see some of his products here. And again, I'm not going to outline exactly which ones are his, because I don't want you to reach out to him and say, Monica told me to contact you, and I want to know everything that you know about everything. I don't want that to happen, right? So what we're going to do is just kind of focus on some of the products around what he does, and I'm going to show you how this whole thing works. So when you click on anything, so you go into the eBay search bar. eBay actually has their own search bar. And they have their search bar, and you could type in anything you want, like weight loss supplements, diet supplements, male enhancement supplements, whatever you want to type, right? So when you go into any of these, you could find out how many they actually sold. And when you do that, you can get an idea of how successful this product could potentially be, or a product like it could potentially be for you. So when you click on that, I don't know if you remember, but I talked about how you could actually click on that that little button, which was back here. So when you go into the listing, you can see how many were actually sold. It's shown in red right there. You can see how popular this is, because it's gotten over or at 182 views of this particular product. And I just basically took the screenshot, like I think it was yesterday. And so this is really recent. So you take that, and you see with this Excel spreadsheet, right, where it basically says, let's see. I don't know why I used the old screenshot that I had. I actually had a newer screenshot. I don't know what happened to it. But the average, this is a different screen. Let me see if I have the other screenshot. And if I don't, I'll get it during the break. All right, well, just bear with me, because I actually swapped this out with a different one, because his was, let's see, 17. Yeah, I was supposed to I think I deleted the wrong screen on this, so just bear with me here. So this particular one, 152, 1995 each, and excuse the fact that I have the wrong screenshot, because it was actually supposed to be the one for 2020, but it's actually 17.99 each and not 19.95 each, but the numbers are fairly the same. It actually, the breakdown was a little over 3,000 gross, which you see right there. Each bottle still sells for $3.50 each, because of the volume that he buys. Between eBay fees and stuff, he was actually over 2,500, just a little over that, not 2,730. So again, I got the wrong screen. I basically deleted the wrong screenshot here, because this was the older one that I used to have before. And so this is kind of how you figure out how much you could potentially make. You could actually you go into all of these people's different things to see how many they sold in a 30-day time frame, and you could times that by 10 different products, right? So the reason I blanked that out is because I had to blank it out, just because that's what he told me I had to do. So I'm just following orders. But this is his actual listing right here. And if you do a little bit of research, it would not be too hard to find it. This is one of his newer accounts, by the way. He's got several eBay accounts. You don't have to do it that way, but if you have different segments of the nutritional, I guess you could say, repertoire or field, if you will, you definitely want to consider having different accounts. Like he has one, I think, for male enhancement, one for weight loss. So he separates them all out. So this is one of his newer accounts, and this is how well he's doing with a brand new account, right? This is just case in point that if you start off with 1 or 2 or 3 like products, like with the weight loss diet pill space, this is how well you can do. I mean, just take a look. This is the fact. It's right in front of your face. And I just took the screenshot yesterday, not the one that you looked at before that I inadvertently put in there that I was supposed to delete. But this one right here is a brand new screenshot of his newest eBay account. If you take a look at his feedback, you take a look at the amount of units he sold. He sold just, let's see, 2,094 units on this brand new account of his. And he's only got just barely over 4,000 feedback. I mean, this is a brand new account and he's already killing it. And the reason he's able to kill it so quick is because he knows what the hell he's doing. The reason he knows what the hell he's doing is because he's been doing this for a while. So how can you piggyback off of his success, and how can you exactly do what he's doing? Well, I'm looking at the clock going, I think I have to take a break now. No, you guys want me to break now, or should I wait about 15 minutes? 15 minutes for the break? You want to hear this? Let me finish this up. I want to hear a few yeses, otherwise I'm going to run to the bathroom. Yes? Okay, I got a couple yeses. All right, you guys, I'll wait 15 minutes. I'll hold it. Okay, no break. All right, you got it. All right, so no break. Okay, so like I said, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. So what you want to do when you go into eBay and do this research, whether it's weight loss pills, diet pills, male enhancement, whatever it is, anti-aging, you just start typing in these different keywords. What you're looking for is someone like this who's sold a lot of units in a short period of time, and you want him to have a decent amount of feedback. Well, this account, because I know him and because I know what he's doing, this is why I decided to illustrate this exact account here. You see, this is a brand new account and he's able to get this many sold in such a short time. What you typically would look for, though, are people that have 10, 20, 30, 40, 100,000 plus feedback, because you really want to piggyback off of them. How difficult would it be, folks? Now listen to me very carefully. How difficult would it be for you to basically do a little bit of research on eBay, right? Look at each seller's account, see how many feedback they have. Now, mind you, this is not normally an account you would look at right here. But if you were to look at this account, you would see, oh my God, he sold 2,094 units of this diet pill, and he's a newer account because he's got a little over 4,000 feedback. That's really a lot. So he must know what the hell he's doing. Otherwise, you would just simply focus on the people that have at least over 10,000 or 20,000 or 30,000 feedback and see what they're doing. But then how difficult is it to say, okay, what are they selling it for? What price point do they have? And what does their listing look like? What kind of pictures do they have? What kind of copy do they have? And how difficult would it be for you to copy this entire thing without copying their copy word for word, of course? And the answer is it's not hard at all. It's like super freaking easy, okay? So this is another little trick too that I want you to know. So when you actually go into their feedback, right? And again, this is a fairly new account. It's about a year old. In 1 month, he only got 356. And by 1 month, I mean, only 356 is because that's really not a lot. And the typical way of doing this, being a seller on eBay for many years, is that only about a third of the people actually leave any feedback, okay? So that means really he did about 1,068 sales in the last month instead of only 356. Now, 356 would still be a kick-ass month, right? However, he sold a little over 1,000 units in the last month because only about a third of your buyers will leave any feedback. So just this one account on this one single product netted him about $12,000. Okay? One product in 30 days. Net $12,000. All right? So how many of you can actually pull something like this off? Do you think it's really difficult? Do you think it's hard? I don't think it's hard at all. You just basically go on eBay, start researching these particular sellers and see what they're selling and see what's selling a lot. See who's getting a decent amount of feedback in the last month and times it by 3. And then you can get an idea by going into that one little link and actually looking at all of the different sales that they made in the last 30 days. And then you could actually add up what they made in the last 30 days. You can get a really good idea, minus about $3.54 a bottle, how much they're actually making. Again, $12,000 in the last 30 days in profits selling this one stupid weight loss product, okay? Now, I know absolutely every one of you has the ability to do this. And you could do this without a website. You could do this without a money funnel. You could do this just using the eBay platform. And maybe later you can get a website going. You don't even have to use the websites at all. You just get started with this, just selling one product and just get rolling with it, all right? So how is he making $90,000 a month? You're probably wondering, because this one only accounts for $12,000. Well, he has several accounts, and he does this because he wants to separate everything out. He originally started off selling like bodybuilding types of supplements because he was I guess you could say, an aspiring bodybuilder at one point in time, kind of like I was. And I think that's one of the things we have most in common. So he started selling creatine and protein powders and stuff like that. And so he didn't really want to mix and match all of his products together with, the weight loss for women and then the male enhancement for men and the anti-aging. He didn't want to like mix all of that stuff together. So that's why he decided to have different accounts. I'm not entirely sure I would do it that way, but that's the way he selected in doing it. So this is what he told me specifically about his business. All right. Now, again, this is where we get kind of into the gray area. So if you are one of these, people that doesn't want to hear about the gray area, then now would be the time to click out and take an extra long break. But this is what he did. Not to say that I agree with this, not to say that this is the way I would do things, but this is the way he does things, right? And this is why he doesn't want you contacting him. He doesn't want to deal with anybody because he knows that some of the stuff is probably not as kosher as it should be. So what he does is he borrows images from Google by basically typing in before and after pictures. So he'll go to google.com, he'll type in before and after pictures, and then he'll hit Google Images at the very top of the page, and then he'll see what the before and after is, because he made it very clear. He says if you're selling a weight loss product and you do not have before and after pictures, you're not going to sell anything, period. And if you're first starting out as a salesperson for a weight loss product, you're not going to have any before and after pictures from different people that tried the product unless you tried the product yourself or you have a family member that tried the product, in which case you got to wait till they lose weight or wait till you lose weight. And you might want to get started in this business now, because I will tell you, this is the month that you want to definitely get started in weight loss sales before the summer hits. And then the other time is right after the holidays. That's your next big hit. So you got to hit while the iron's hot, if you will, and now is the time, right? So you don't have time to be waiting around to see if you lose weight with this. You don't have time to be waiting around to see if friends and family lose weight with this. You need before and after pictures now. So he borrows them initially when he gets started. At least this is how he did it when he got started, was off of Google Images. And again, you might criticize him for that, but that's just what he did. And this is, again, why this is super confidential information, because you're not really supposed to know this at all, that he does this. Also, too, he emulates other listings, including a template building program. He uses something called it's actually Auction Listing Creator. AuctionListingCreator.com is what he actually uses to be able to build out these listings. And then he sells the same product in singles, doubles, and more. So what he does is he'll have several listings of the same thing. So he might have one listing that's just a single product or a single bottle by itself. Then he'll have another listing that's actually 2 bottles or 3 bottles together. And so it's actually the same product, but he's actually using them multiple times. So eBay frowns upon multiple listings of the same product, but they will allow you to list the same product in different types of size batches. So you can have one by itself, and then you could relist it as 3 bottles together. Then you could relist it as 2 bottles together. So you can do it that way. So he's able to do that. So that he's actually able to squeeze about 3 products or 3 product listings out of one product, if you know what I mean. Because out of that one product, he could list it as a single bottle, he could list it as a double bottle, and he could list it as a triple bottle. And sometimes they'll do like 6 bottles, but he says those don't really do as well. He says one of his most successful campaigns is to do buy 2 get 1 free. And he recommends that everybody does that if you're going to do any kind of supplement of any kind. Now, in the very beginning of the very first 60 to 90 days, he says it could be kind of slow going. It could be kind of frustrating. He says, do not throw in the towel. Under no circumstances should you throw in the towel. Just keep moving forward with it, because he says there'll be like a tipping point or a breakthrough point where you'll be going along and it seems like you're, kind of rowing a canoe, up Niagara Falls. But after a point, all of a sudden, it's just like it's smooth sailing. It's like momentum picks up, and it's mostly due to the fact of getting good feedback, getting really good feedback. That is the goal. And once you actually get a ton of feedback, buyers will then begin to start trusting you, and they will want to basically throw money your way because you're now a trustworthy seller at that point. Um, right now, he says he works between like 30 and 32 hours a week. He chooses not to scale up. He has a couple of part-time helpers that he says that help him out. He still does this out of his house. He has a basement, and that's where his whole business is. And that's what he chooses. He chooses not to do anything more or anything less than what he's doing now. He's been on the same kind of path for quite some time. Um, the cool thing is he's been listening to me about investing in apartment buildings, because when he started making his money initially, he started buying a lot of single family homes for cash out. So he would buy a single family property without a mortgage on it, which is the ideal way to get a single family home. If you're going to rent it out, you want to be able to cash it out 100% without a mortgage. So he started picking up a lot of those properties in Michigan, over time, and he's got, I think, something like 30 or 40 houses, and I know he's got a couple of duplexes and triplexes and stuff like that. So he's doing really, really well with this, and he listens to absolutely everything I tell him. And just like he says, if anybody listens to what you say, Monica, they'll be successful. They just have to actually do the stuff you say. So that's the other thing. Some people know all this stuff and they don't do the stuff. So that's the key here, is you got to not just know the stuff, you got to actually do the stuff I'm talking about. All right. So this is how it works. You just go to google.com, type in before and after weight loss pictures, and then you click on Google Images at the very top of the page. And then when you click on Google Images, you could get a lot of before and afters. Now, this may seem like a shady way to do business, and if you don't agree with this, I understand. I'm just simply explaining how he told me how he does it, because you can't sell a weight loss product online if you don't have a before and after picture. You have to have a before and after picture. If you don't, you're never going to sell one diet product. So that's how he does it. So this is why I'm telling you this. Again, this is 100% confidential. You're not to repeat this to anyone. And this is one of the dirtiest secrets, I think, of any kind of diet supplement sale thing, is that they all basically do the same thing. They all basically rip off these pictures from Google or other places that they can get them, right? So that's essentially how he does that. Now, you can go to places to get copyright-free, royalty-free images. You do have to pay a fee to be able to download them into your system, but these are some of the top ones that I like to use. I don't use before and after diet pictures, but I've had to use other pictures for different marketing materials that I've had in the past. Like, for example, whenever I'm doing anything on financial freedom, I have to download some pictures there for, what financial freedom would look like, or, if I need a new cover for one of my books or whatnot. My main one that I like to use is Shutterstock. I used to use photos.com a lot, which used to be called thinkstock.com back then in the day. But now I use Shutterstock, because Shutterstock also has video clips, and they also have audio clips too, that I like to download as well when I'm doing video editing. So that's why I use Shutterstock, because they just have a wider variety of stuff that I can get. But these are the recommended sources if you want to actually get the legit photos. All right. So back to how he makes $90,000 a month. This is just an example of a product that you could very well carry. And that's a male enhancement product. Now, I didn't want to show his exact products over and over again because he told me not to, so I had to pick somebody else's. But these are the types of products, and I happen to know exactly where this manufacturer gets these, or this company gets these, because you can actually go on AliExpress and Alibaba to get this. I don't know that they say it's made in America. I don't really agree that it is. Here's another dirty little secret about this business, is that you'll find that a lot of these Chinese companies will actually slap "Made in America" on the back of every single one of their packages, even though we all know damn well they're not made in China. Otherwise, they wouldn't be shipped from China, right? So This is another one of those examples where it says made in the USA. The Chinese that make this are never held liable for making that false claim. So they can print anything that they want on the back of these packages and they never get in trouble for it. So they just ship it to the United States, and then these resellers on Amazon and other places will actually use the whole Made in America logo, even though it wasn't made in America, because I know exactly where these people got this. And you can get these all day long on AliExpress and Alibaba, and they all come from China. So that's just an example, though, of a product that you could potentially sell. All right. So the breakdown is that this account that he has sells approximately 1,000 units of product per week. The price point ranges between 99 cents and $160. And then the average profit is $16.50 in the middle. His net profits per month on this one particular account, one of his several accounts that he has, is $67,000. He only has, as far as I know, he's got 3 eBay accounts. I think he might have more, but he just didn't tell me about those. He does carry now over 100 products, and these are his best-selling products. The creatine, which is what he started off with when he first started in this business, and then the male enhancer pills and capsules, breast enlargement pills and creams, diet pills of all kinds, anti-aging pills and creams, and acne pills and creams. Those are his top selling products. So I have to tell you, it's a big business. I mean, if you think that eBay was dead and gone a long time ago, I mean, there's people making bank. And if you want proof of that, I want you to do a homework assignment tonight, and I want you to go on eBay, and I actually want you to type in some of the supplements that I just mentioned there. Start looking for your power sellers. Start looking for the sellers that have made not only the products that sold, like, 2,200 bottles or something like that, but you also want to click in and take a look at sellers that are over the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 mark when it comes to feedback. And you'll see that they're banking it in and they're raking it in a big time on these products. So there is a huge business to this. This is one of the forgotten spaces online that you could still make a ton of money just because people thought that eBay was gone and dead. But this is now killing it over Amazon, because Amazon's gotten so strict and ridiculous when it comes to their policies. They're almost like on the same level as Google AdWords years ago, or Facebook right now. And so a lot of sellers are going back to eBay now, and they're killing it. So if you're looking for a business that can make a lot of money that you don't even need your own website for, at least not for now, then this is definitely the business you want to consider. All right. Okay, so we're going to take a 15-minute break. I'll be back in exactly 15 minutes, or 3 p.m. Pacific time. So you guys enjoy your 15-minute break, and I'll be right back.